Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast. Today's guest is Demi Karpouzos. She is a strategic business coach. So you can learn a lot of things from this young lady. Take a listen. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast. This is your host, Emmett Muckles. You can find us on Stitcher and iTunes. Please don't make me come choke you, so leave a review. I'll have my wife come after you, and she's notorious. Today, I have an awesome guest. She is coming to me. She's the first person that I've interviewed today that is living in a colder place than I live, but that's perfectly fine. Help me to welcome Demi Karpouzos, right?
You nailed it. Yes, perfect. And I'm trying so hard not to laugh with your intro. You are hilarious. It's so good to be here.
You know, I've heard these podcast interviews and, you know, people try to sound too much like radio. And podcast is not that thing. It's a personal thing. It's me reaching out to you directly. It's not some person who works for me. You know, it's me. I made a connection with something that you did. So it's going to be a personal conversation. You know what I mean?
I couldn't agree with you more. I love the approach of it.
Now, the Billionaire Lifestyle is about crafting your own life the way you see fit, you know, because we grow up with these ideologies that our parents and friends and family say, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, then buy a house, then have some kids, then la da da da. But that doesn't always resonate with the passion of a human being. And that's what this is about, giving people the inspiration, knowing that there's people out there who are doing their thing and helping others. Because you, Demi, may be that one person that motivates someone to do their thing. You know that?
Oh, the pressure's on.
So I'm going to ask you this very straight opening question. What is it that you do?
In a nutshell, I work with entrepreneurs to essentially I help them do two things. One is build grit, because in the world of entrepreneurship, well, in any facet of our lives, but it shows up more prevalently in entrepreneurship, we tend to give ourselves a back door and we don't cross the finish line or don't finish projects that we start or don't accomplish the goals that we set out to accomplish for whatever reason. It's all the mental game. So that's the first component that I work on with them, so that we build that grit muscle so that they do finish what they start no matter what. And also in the process, we build an audience, an email list, if you will, of adoring fans and loyal clients. So that's my sweet spot. So,
you know, that email list thing, we're going to talk about that, because
okay.
That is the Achilles heel. It's what was the guy who was trying to push the rock up the hill? That's what building an email list is to me. Soon as you get it up, the rock rolls back up.
That's a great analogy. It's so true.
Now, I'm going to start out at the beginning. So everyone has someone that motivates them. And we're going to get into the business part, and we're going to get into you exclusively shortly here, but who are your mentors? Who are the people that you dreamed about, that you looked up to, that you said, that you had that, that you felt all sparkly inside when you saw them, or their presentation, or they talked to you?
Well, I wish this person had spoken to me or will speak to me. So this was from afar, and that was Miss Oprah Winfrey, who I absolutely love. So she... from a little girl watching her shows and seeing how she connected with people. And I just really looked up to her and how she approached everything so authentically and paved the way for so many other people, women in particular. So her first and foremost. But people that I've actually had the pleasure of meeting and having them mentor me. One was a woman by the name, or is her, she hasn't passed, thankfully, touch wood, is a woman by the name of Gina Gabellini, and she focuses focuses a lot on mindset and alignment, law of attraction sort of stuff. So she was my very first mentor, who I absolutely love and adore. Another person was Robin Sharma. He's the author of he's many books, but one of the most popular ones or most commonly known ones is The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. So he's another one. And a lot of my mentors have been authors. I'm a voracious reader, so I've read a ton, both self-help and business and you name it. So some of these people I haven't had the pleasure of speaking to yet, but they're on my bucket list. So yeah.
But a person doesn't have to be intimately in your life for them to mentor you, because they can just like I said, it could be someone who identifies with you and you become their mentor, just be how you carry yourself. So, you can't just discount that in itself. But those are great people. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to look them up after this show.
I recommend it. They are fantastic people.
So you had a 6-figure income, and you said, I'm done. It's something spoke to your heart, soul, chakras, and you said, there's something else that's calling me. What was that transition like? What were you doing before, and how did you come to this realization that there's a potential that I have not tapped?
I was in a fantastic question, by the way. I was in a managerial position, and it was so the people that I worked with were amazing. It was being on somebody else's schedule. That's what was killing my soul. I'm a free spirit. I love time freedom. I also like money freedom. But money freedom isn't necessarily as enjoyable when you don't have the time freedom to go with it. So it was the constantly being on a set schedule, the Monday to Friday, having to go in, traffic the whole nine. That was what was depleting my soul. And then it wasn't until one day I was getting ready to leave for work, and a coworker had asked if she could speak to me. She wanted to bounce a few ideas off me, and I said, sure. Well, it turns out 2 hours later, I was finally getting into my car, because every time I was trying to leave, somebody else wanted to speak with me. And I got in my car, and another friend had walked up to my car. She was laughing. She said, you know what, Demi, I really think you should become a therapist or something, because people keep talking to you. And, we both laughed. But as I was battling traffic on my way home, that little something stuck in my head. And I knew I didn't want to go back to school to become a therapist or a psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever the case was. But I went online and I started, I don't even know what rabbit hole I went down. I just know that I discovered the world of coaching. And and that was what kind of spurred things on. And, the whole, what do I coach on and what do I want to do and all that stuff. But I got certified. I thought, okay, I'll get the ball rolling. So even though I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, I took the first step, and that was to become certified. I figured, okay, well, I'll give this a shot and hang up my shingle at some point. So yeah, that's how that all came to be.
So it seems like yours came from a place of caring on both sides, not only for other people, but for yourself too, that's a really awesome thing. And once you've made that transition, so basically you started a new business. And
Yes.
Everybody knows the most critical parts of a new business is the first 24 months. What was that process like for you?
Oh, Emmett, it was so painful, but fantastic. It needed to be done. It was a lot of growth. I thought people are going to automatically come to me. I thought this is. I'll just tell people what I do. They'll get it. They'll realize how excited I am and how emblazoned I am by wanting to help. And they're just going to get it. They're going to sign up. And that was the furthest thing from reality. And when I realized I had to put myself out there, I'm an introvert by nature. I'm also, for the most part, I'm shy, but I can be painfully shy. And the whole self-promotion, that was so challenging for me. So I spent a lot of those first 24 months being busy but not being productive, getting my website, tweaking my website. I can't even tell you how many times I worked on that stupid website, getting business cards that half the time I forgot to hand out. It was just a lot of nonsense, but things that I thought I needed to do. And it made me feel that I was being very businesslike, but it wasn't getting me in front of my audience, and I wasn't speaking with conviction. And so I think it was around a little after a year when my savings were dwindling quickly, my debt was rising even quicker, that I realized I have to put my butt in gear here, and it's do or die, because the thought of going back to working for somebody on somebody else's schedule did not appeal to me at all. And so that second part of that 24-month stretch was all about getting out of my comfort zone every day. Well, almost every day. Some days I hid, but almost every day I was putting myself out there, getting my message out there. And slowly but surely, I started getting a few clients. I was doing speaking engagements, which I had never done before. I was the kid in school that always, told the teacher, you know what, give me an F on this and I'll crush it on the essay part. And to my parents' chagrin. But yeah, I was always getting out of speaking in front of the class. But as a business owner, I realized it was imperative. So I was doing speaking engagements, and I started getting clients. And thankfully, because I loved what I was doing, the people that I was working with were getting results, and they were referring people. So my business built 90% on referrals. So I then was able to go back into hiding, which I don't recommend to anybody, but that's what the first 24 months looked like for my business.
So when you said, hey, I'm going to do this, first let me ask you this. Did you have a partner to kind of cushion that blow? Like I have an awesome wife who, she says, you can do whatever you like. She's like, I got your back. And I'm like, you sure about that? Because I might do something crazy. Did you have a support structure to help you along in case, I know you had those moments like, I don't know, during that 24 months.
No, I didn't. And that's actually not. So I thought, if everything goes belly up, worst case scenario, I'll make sure that it happens during the warmer months, and I'll just pitch a tent in my parents' backyard. But yeah, I was happily single, and which was good because it was good and not good, because it allowed me to just focus on my thing without having to be present for anybody else. But the bad part of it was that I also wasn't accountable to anybody else. Yeah. So there's nobody asking, hey, how are things going? I was able to deceive myself a little longer than I could have or should have.
Yeah, that is true, that when you don't have someone that you have to give attention to, you can focus all your attention on your goal when you're starting out a new venture.
Yes.
And so I have a bunch of questions for you. So when you started out, how did you said, okay, I'm going to put myself out there, Demi. You had you were looking in the mirror, you're like, I can do this. What were your first steps? Did you approach organizations, or was it groups that were around you, national groups, international groups? What was your process?
I went on meetup.com. It's totally free. I looked for groups that would have my prospective audience, my prospective clients, which was easy since I'm a business consultant / coach. And so I joined those groups. I went to a few of the networking events. I chose 3 or 4 groups. I can't remember, but it was a small group because I wanted to make sure I put all my focus onto them. And so I went to a few of the networking meetups that they did and familiarized myself with some of the people, but particularly the group organizer. And then a lot of times those group organizers are looking for people to provide value to their group. And so they'll ask for somebody to come and speak to their group for 10 minutes or so. And so, yeah, I said, hey, you know what? I would love to speak to your group to help them with, maybe how to market effectively on Facebook or whatever whatever topic I happen to choose. And the facilitators were very open to it and allowed me to speak in front of their audience. And so then I made sure that 10 minutes that I had, I was providing a ton of value, as if these people had paid me. I gave fully and completely without overwhelming them, because there's only so much you can give. But I made sure that everybody walked away with something that they could implement right on the spot that would take them forward, even if it was a step or two. That was my intention. And then I had a call to action at the end of it. Sometimes it varied. Sometimes it was to join my email list to get a free something or other. And then sometimes it was to book a chat with me, depending on where what my headspace was like on that particular day. And yeah, then slowly and surely people started signing up and working with me. So that was the first thing that I did was with the meetup groups. And then the second part was I went through my database. So at that point, didn't have an email list. So it was just like people that I had met from these networking events and people that I had met from my past. And I started sending out emails and making phone calls and reconnecting with them. And coming from a place like these are people like who I knew were in business for themselves, and asking questions. I really wanted to find out what people in the space that I wanted to impact, what their fears and frustrations and pain points were. And so once I spoke to several people, I then put together a free workshop, and then I promoted that workshop online on social media. People signed up, and then at the end of that, I made an offer. So that was the workshop was virtual, by the way; it wasn't in person.
Good. So when it comes to the sexes, who does your client base primarily, or is it just kind of a random sample? Is it more female or is it more male? Because I know that the female base of business is growing exponentially. Like 1 in 5 businesses that make at least $1 million are women-owned businesses. So I was just wondering, because they may feel more comfortable being able to speak with you from a female perspective, or was it just whoever came, they came?
That's a great question. At that time, I wasn't. It was anybody who came. And I felt if I felt I could help them. There were some people I turned away because they were looking for business plans that they could take into a financial institution. I wasn't equipped to. I wouldn't have been able to help them with that. So some people I turned away. But yeah, at that point, there wasn't anybody that. It's just people who were starting within their first 3 years of their business. That's who I was targeting. And then as I was working with both men and women, I found that I started, more women were approaching me than men. And I do still work with a handful of men, but the majority of my clientele is female.
See, now I'm just the opposite. See, I like to get a woman's perspective because it's so much different than mine. And it comes with a very organic focus. That's why and I always say this, and I've said this in many of my podcasts. Here's what I love about my wife. She has an emotional intelligence about things where I'm a Neanderthal. So I literally play off her. And she was not born in America. She's Austrian. So she has a totally different take on things and is really fresh and clean and it's very organic. Now, once you've established yourself, what are your criteria that you say, hey, you're my client, I'm going to help you with A, B, C, D, and E? Or how do you assess what you need to help them with?
I love the questions you ask because it gets me thinking. Because for me, I just do. I'm a feeler, so I don't really think about the whole process behind it.
So you have a high EQ as well, is what you're probably saying.
I would like to think so. I don't know, but yeah, I am a feeler. So when someone comes to me, I first see if our vibes are a match. Also, where they are in their business. Some people are looking for systems to really up level, and that's not my sweet spot. Although I've done it within my own business, it's not something I wouldn't feel comfortable teaching or being able to help structure that for somebody. So I think to answer your question, when I'm speaking to somebody, I look to see, are they coachable? Are they willing to do the work and not live in whatever excuses they have been living in that are keeping them there? first and foremost. And then I think the second component that I'm looking for is, are they willing and able, well, I know they're able, are they willing to get out of their comfort zone? Are they willing to trust me enough to do things that, might get their heart hammering at times and get the, butterflies having a big old tequila party in their belly and all that other good stuff. So I think it's more of what they're willing to bring to the table. That's what I'm looking for.
So you work with mostly like sole proprietors, or maybe two-person partnerships versus corporations. One-on-one consultations is what you focus on mostly, or?
That's correct. Yeah, it's either solopreneurs or small business owners with 5 people, 5 employees or less.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I can tell you have a high EQ. So your business and personal probably blend a little bit because you probably feel like very connected with your clients. Is that true?
That is. I feel like you and I are BFFs. You know me so well. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah. Well, my wife and her friends say I'm that cool guy. I can pour their Moscato.
I love it.
I'm not going to drink it because it's too foo-foo for me. Give me a beer, give me Jameson's. But, I will sit down and I'll, throw my 2 cents in and not be judgmental.
We need more men like you, Emmett.
I think that's going to be my next book. And this is going to be crass because, and here's what I think the name of is. No, I'm not going to say it. I'll tell you after the show, and you're going to laugh because you're going to go, yeah, that's needed.
Oh, no, now your listeners are like, what? Tell us.
Yeah, nope. It's coming out because I talked to so I have a 25-year-old daughter. So she said, oh, Daddy, that's so needed.
Oh, I'm now extremely curious. Can't wait.
So let me ask you something. When it comes to email campaigns and you have somebody who is within their 1 to 3 year stint, that 24-month stint, and I think that's what you kind of alluded to, you come across very frequently. How do you get them into the mindset of social media marketing, email campaigns? Because most people don't really know. They're involved in the system from the consumer side, but then when you have to switch gears, it's a totally different world.
It really is. And some people take to it very quickly, and some people there's quite a bit of resistance and they don't get it and they get overwhelmed, which I totally understand. So we do baby steps. So the first thing is I find a lot of people try to do too much too soon. And what I would recommend is that you choose one platform, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, wherever you have the most fun, be on that and dominate it. So from social media perspective, post frequently, but post things that are in your own voice. Know what your message is. Speak with conviction. A lot of people try to be nice, and that's why they keep reposting or retweeting whatever happens to be inspirational quotes, which are great, but you're not really putting your voice behind it. And when people don't know what you stand for, they can't stand alongside with you. And people don't invest in nice or mediocre, or like you just end up blending in with everybody else. They invest in conviction. So whatever problem you help solve, know what your position is with it, and then speak with your voice. Speak in a way that will resonate with your audience, so they see themselves in what you're saying. And it's about being consistent and being focused, being aligned, and then using various methods. So, some sure do quotes, and then sometimes you can share a testimonial that you got from a client for social proof. You do videos, whatever it happens to be, mix it up so that's not just the same thing. I see a lot of people sometimes hammering, and it just seems like they're repeating with the last, everything else that they've just said. So spice it up a little bit, change it up a bit. And then in terms of the email part of it, is make that your focus. So whatever you have, like whatever you're doing on social media, if you're trying to then redirect them, make sure there's always a call to action, whether the call to action is to get their opinion, it's to respond with a yes, whether it's to see if they agree or not, or if it's for them, to go to your website, to read your blog, to check this out, whatever it happens to be. Always have a call to action of some kind. And when you do have a call to action to redirect them to their website, on your website, have something that would entice them to leave their name and email address so that you can then start building your email list. That would be the most simplistic way to do it. But yeah, there are definitely a lot of ways, like you can run challenges, you can do webinars, you can give away a checklist, a PDF of some kind, whatever it happens to be. But in order for people to get this, they would need to then sign up to, put their name and email, or maybe just their email address in order to receive the goodies that you're promising.
Good deal. So when you first get a client, is it a really hands-on kind of intense situation, and then as your business relationship matures, you kind of let them walk on their own? Or do you have a set where it says, okay, between this period and this period, we're going to work together, look at your metrics, and then go from there?
The initial part, it's very hands-on. I'm right up in their business because I'm trying to figure out where it's usually mindsets, not lack of information, because that can be found, although I do have some really cool marketing strategies, if I do say so myself. But a lot of it is finding out where are they getting stuck on, or where have they tripped up in the past. And then also creating a plan and making sure they're on that plan, that the marketing strategy that we have created, so that it then becomes a habit for them to do X, Y, and Z on a daily basis. So yes, I'm very hands-on. I'm in the trenches with them at the beginning. And then it's typically after 90 days, a lot of things have started happening. They're getting a lot of momentum. They're getting clients. Money's coming in consistently. And so then it becomes more of okay, let's keep in touch. It's on a weekly basis, but I'm not in their business as much as I was when we first started.
So you literally become the coach, where the coach says, okay, now go play.
Exactly.
Go do what we talked about. Go do those drills.
Exactly.
Well, do you have a YouTube page?
I do. That's it. I think there may be one or two videos. I may have taken those videos down because that's not the platform I focus on. But
wow, you got the face for it.
Oh, you are so sweet, Emmett. Thank you.
I'm serious.
Thank you. My little spot is my email list. That's where my marketing happens to be. Like the focus is. Social media hasn't been my focus. It's changing for 2017. I'm going to focus on building my audience there, but it has been mostly my email list up to this point.
Well, I tell you what, if I come up to Carabana, I'm going to look you up. We're going to go.
Yes, please do. I will take you to Swiss Chalet, and we're going to have some drinks too. Not a Swiss Chalet, because that's not the place to have them, but no. Yeah.
Yeah, because my wife she lived in Mississauga, but never went to Carabana. Okay. I'm like, what is wrong with you? But, that's c'est la guerre.
We still love her.
Yes. I know I talk about her a lot because that's my best friend. That's my pal. Now, how can people reach you?
I think the best way, if you want to be pals on social media, probably Facebook or Twitter. Those two are those spaces I'm going to be focusing on. So you would find me under my name, Demi Karpouzos. I really wish I had an easy last name, but Demi Karpouzos, and I'd love to connect there. I also have I created an assessment, a business assessment, to figure out, so you can figure out what part of your business or what stage of your business you're at, my suggestions of what you can focus on to start bringing in consistent revenue and getting clients and all that other good stuff. And that is at igotafreegift.com. So either of those would be good.
And what's your website?
strategicalcoaching.com.
And your last name is spelled Karpouzos.
I adore you. Yes, that's correct.
What about Twitter?
The same. It's Demi at Demi, Demi, and then Karpouzos.
All right. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for my questions with the billionaire lifestyle because she's crafted her billionaire lifestyle. Now, I want to thank you for being on the podcast. You know, it was such a joy. You have great energy, and I can tell that you really care about the people that you work with, and that's really good.
Oh, Emmett, I heart you. This has been so much fun. This has been one of the most enjoyable conversations I've had, and I can't thank you. I'm so happy our paths have crossed.
Good, 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 good. Now, this is what I leave everybody with at the end of every podcast. You know, there's a really marvelous thing in your life, and typically you see it probably twice before you get to your job or before you drop the kids off at school. So you get out the shower, you look in the mirror. The second time you do it is you get in your car, you look in the rearview mirror. When you look in that mirror, look in those eyes, look at that person. Look at those cracks, look at those crevices, look at those moles. Look at maybe how your nose is a little bit too big. It's yours, and it is a 1 in a trillion miracle. There's nobody like you. So know this. Somebody loves you, even though you may not believe it. But the first thing is love yourself. Look in that mirror and really love yourself. Take it all in, from your rolls to your non-rolls to your abs. Take it all in because you are a beautiful creature. And with that, have an awesome day. We're done. See you, Demi.
Bye.